Sure. Today is May 12th. We're going to enter the Board of Health meeting. I believe all members are in attendance, as well as Jim Philbrook, Health Department, Department Head, and Andrew, Town Administrator.
Yes.
Okay. Jim, I'll let you start it. I know you were just talking about town meeting, so let's go right into COVID-19 and how it's related to town meeting, what we found out from Cheryl today.
Well, I had a meeting, one of my weekly meetings. We meet with DPH, discuss the issues. Cheryl Sabara, I know everyone has met her. I know if Andrew, I'm sure he has also. She's a senior staff attorney for Mass Associations of Health Boards. She's come into our meetings. I've known her for a long time. She's providing guidance for municipalities when in regards to town meeting. The social distancing will apply, the mask, and I think that's something that she's sent to us. I haven't been to read it fully, but certainly I know we've had discussions on our Monday meetings with the town administrator and with Dave, who's chairman of the selectmen, and Matt, to see how we can do this safely and what the recommendations from the state DPH would be in regards to town meeting. I think that's what this document from Cheryl is what's going to be the guidance statewide as far as town meetings. So there's no inconsistencies from town to town. And I think what Andrew was asking, if we can still have the town meeting, do the social distancing and wear the mask, that's possible. If not, they want you to postpone if you cannot safely. Other towns are smaller and it may not have the amount of people that, Charlton may have 2, 3, I'm not sure how many, but certainly that's something that's taken into consideration. So I have another meeting on Friday at 9. So if the board has any other questions, I certainly can send them forward. But that's what I received today.
Hello to Michael Gormley, who just joined us. I don't see him, but I see a wall. I think he's trying to find out.
Yep. Sorry about that. How you doing?
Michael,
So you have any other questions, Matt, Mr. Chairman?
No, Jim, I know that's where that left off, and I just wanted to say it out loud and on the record. So basically, at this point, we're still trying to do a town meeting, but we're going to look for guidance as of what the other towns and what Cheryl says on your meeting on Friday.
Exactly. They just want consistency throughout the Commonwealth. They don't want one town canceling, one town making them do one thing. They want consistent enforcement from the local boards of health to make sure that meetings are safe. They practice the social distancing. The problem is if they don't release the group of 10 or more, there could be a violation there. And that's the issue of, I think that Andrew brought up, is are we going to violate the restrictions on no gatherings of more than 10? And they're not going to come out with the release of the 4 phases for release of businesses until Monday, unfortunately. So I won't have any guidance on what can open and what can't. Children's cancer an issue, and that won't come out till the 18th at the 18th on that morning. They'll send out the phase 4 guidance for everyone to follow, not before.
Yeah, and just to tag on to that, I know we were talking about the phased approach to kind of reopening town hall too. And right now what we're doing is we're kind of notifying people that Tuesday, the 19th, we're going to look to try to implement our phase 1 of reopening. And that's basically the matter of trying to get admin staff back in the building and almost reaccustomed to, kind of finding out how we can safely work in a socially distant manner with all the precautions in place. So we have 2 short weeks ahead if we start on Tuesday and then Memorial Day the next week. So that way we could try to phase that in and try to at least see what works, what needs to be changed, and then hopefully get some more guidance from the state moving forward.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Andrew, I think we should also implement that we take temperatures or anyone who wants to visit the building and makes an appointment. Myself or one of my staff members can take our digital thermometer, write their name down, just take a temperature. That way, if something does occur during our contract tracing, that would be capable of, seeing who entered the building. And if someone does have a temperature, that we wouldn't allow them in. But that's what most town halls are doing also. That's certainly up to you, but I think that's one of my recommendations if the board doesn't mind.
Okay. And would that be non-inclusive of staff?
we don't need to include the staff because they're there all the time unless someone felt they wanted to, but certainly if someone wants to enter the building that has not been in the building, we certainly should make sure that they're not symptomatic and have a fever. That's
Right.
something we can quickly check them, allow them in, and they can come, and I can do that.
Yeah, it will be strongly, I mean, just, as an aside, we'll be strongly disincentivizing any person from coming to town hall or coming in. It has to be because must be
Right.
in person.
So that will just give us some guidance too, is if anyone is symptomatic, they wouldn't allow them in. It's just to protect everybody.
So just a question.
Jim, do you think,
Sorry, Matt.
no, go for it.
Thanks, Matt. I just wanted to mention, you can't see us, so Michael Gormley is with us here on the Zoom, and I just wanted to let you know that because you can't see. And also, I just wanted to mention that if we're going to check people's temperatures, we probably should just have one entrance to town hall, right?
I think we do.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, and if that's what we're doing for town hall, I guess why wouldn't we do it for staff? And would that be something up for consideration for town meeting?
We very well could. We have, I think I did get 6 of them. I have 5 in stock. I did give one to the fire department for use for his staff, so they could check as they came in, because he had an older one. But certainly, I think in any way we can to protect protect everyone from someone that may be symptomatic or have a fever. I think I don't think it would slow down. It only takes a couple. They've been doing it at Overlook for quite some time. It doesn't take that long. It's a matter of a couple seconds.
How does it work, Jim?
You just scan either your neck or you across your forehead, and it'll tell if you have a fever, and then we'll just log it.
So, I mean, ultimately, that's one measure to help prevent somebody that came in, especially if it's over a weekend or whatnot, where they've had more time to, if they were feeling ill. But if somebody does come in that tests positive with COVID-19, staff in the town hall, then the town hall is going to be back to being shut down again for 2 more weeks. Is that accurate?
That's correct. And anyone who comes in contact under the new guidelines with someone who's positive for COVID needs to either self-quarantine for 14 days. And if you're symptomatic or in contact with someone who's positive, you need to be tested. So that creates another scenario, because they came out with new guidelines that I will forward to the board tomorrow, later today, of their recommendations as far as not healthcare workers, but for town hall employees, municipal employees. So those guidelines have changed.
Okay. Kathleen, any comments on that, or?
No, I'm just suggesting it, Mr. Chairman.
How about you, John? Any comments on that?
No, not for me, thanks.
All right, Jim. What else do you have?
As far as the mask, the mandatory mask, we've been, Kim and I have been around posting. It's pretty well compliant. People are complying. Sunday, I did get a complaint at Honey Farm, so I went there. There was a woman that refused to put a mask on, but she basically said she didn't understand why we needed a mask. So I just gave her, that this is what's mandated by the governor's order, and when you're going to enter the building, they wouldn't serve you because you didn't have a mask. There was a language barrier, but she was very nice. And I offered to give her a mask, and she said she'd be all set. So, but all in
Jim,
all, it's going well.
This 10-person rule, how does that come into effect right now? I mean, any brick and mortar building, you can't have more than 10 people in it, or you have to be more than 6 feet apart. Or how does that play out?
It plays out that the brick and mortar situation is social gatherings should be limited to 10 or less. And you will practice social distancing of 6 feet or more and wear a mask. I think that that may be lifted on the 18th as far as the number. And I have to read this document because they may allow for town meeting a special dispensation But Cheryl Sabara is the one that's saying that's why she recommends canceling town meeting because it violates the governor's order of no 10 or more people inside a building that would cause an issue of exceeding the gathering recommendations of 10 or less.
What about outside, Jim?
Well, outside, it'd be a social gathering issue if we could, but that is one possibility. I'm not sure if it's been tried, but still the 6 feet of gathering, I know that it's been brought up in the past. I think if you're outdoors and you can practice the 6 feet and you all wear a mask and stuff, that may be a possibility.
Yeah, Jim, I think there was some guidance from the state elections division to basically say that town meeting could not be conducted outside.
Yeah, so there we go. So that ends that right there. And I think that's right. Karen did come down and speak with me, and she said that they talked about a tent and they couldn't do that. So having it outside may be an issue because of handicap accessibility. I guess there's a myriad of issues that would be involved. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll read this and find out Friday and Monday and what the recommendations. And I'll have to on our next meeting on Tuesday to the board. Give you a solid outline and have everyone read this as far as what our recommendations to the town would be for town meeting. And that should come from the board.
Jim, just clarifying though. So say, and this hasn't happened, I'm just using a scenario.
Yep.
Just say the local pizza parlor has 4 people working and 7 people, waiting for their food. Are they in non-compliance?
Yeah, they're supposed to be inside. Like if you notice, you go into any store, it's taped off for 6 feet. Like we've had a problem at Perry's Deli where the people stand too close. They weren't socially distancing. So we marked the floor 6 feet apart. When you enter Stearns, there's tape, or there was tape. It's not there anymore. That's 6 feet apart. You maintain it. To enter, you need a mask. I think if you're supposed to wait at the door, like if Ronnie's, they'll only allow 2 people at a time. And there's a green light and a red light. So you stand 6 feet apart. When there's a spot that opens up an X, then you get out of your car, stand there. And then when the green light, you come in, stand on the X. And then when the red light, you stop. So he's got a system that it works for him. Certainly the Clam Box is trying to do the same thing, and that may be more of an issue because there's not that much parking space. But it worked. I went there. They were pretty busy on Saturday, but they did practice social distancing. They had the mask. It seems to be working. They were not open today. We did go by, but certainly you're right. They're supposed to practice social distancing even in the store. If you notice, you go to Big Y or a grocery store, there's single lanes only. And when you get there, you have to stop at the certain spots. You can't come within 6 feet. So I know it's difficult in grocery stores, but that would apply to the same thing as a pizza parlor. You couldn't have 7 people standing at the front waiting. And that's one of the problems we've been having at certain places.
Okay. Does it make a difference if it's essential or non-essential? So just take, for example, Market Basket in Oxford. They have more than 10 people there at any given time. I understand they're trying to use the social distancing rule, but they get more than 10 people. So are they in compliance or are they non-compliant?
Well, they're in compliance because the grocery store is limited to a certain amount. They have to calculate the space. And then to give you a number, like that's why they've asked that the building commissioners take part in assisting boards of health with enforcement, especially with the number. And they've been told that not to assist and to stay out of it. So, I've talked to Kurt about this, and that's something that's brought up at our meetings. There's a calculation of a number, like if you go to Lowe's, they were letting everyone in, but if you go to Home Depot, they were only letting a certain amount of people in. It's tough to enforce. It's tough to give a ticket. There are, only so many things open, but I think hopefully on Monday that he releases some of the guidelines, but if he does it all at once, it's certainly going to overwhelm health departments. If he says all the camps can open, all the seasonal, and to try and get those all inspected in compliance. But I'm not sure if camps are going to be allowed to open. That would be, I know that libraries and Council of Aging will remain closed. They mentioned that today, that libraries will not be allowed to open at this point. even if you drive up curbside, we can drop something off. They said, no, that would not be allowed.
Matt, if I could just
Okay.
interject something.
Sure.
It's Stop and Shop. It's interesting because they have this announcement that says the store currently has 68 people in it and we're only allowed 140 or something like that. I'm making up these numbers. And, but they seem to have, they announce that about every 10 minutes and they seem to know, they seem to do a count as you come in the door. So they know how many people are in the store at any one time. And they know they can't go over a certain number. So I assume it's like that with all the supermarkets.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I see things out as a civilian and it's like they're breaking the social distancing in my opinion. And I just don't know what's legal and what's not legal, you know? So I just, for example, if you take Ted's with Perry's, there's more than 10 people in that building at any one time. You've got the staff alone. There's going to be at least 6 or 7 staff by the time you're done Perry's, and then the 2 registers over there. And then if Tarek's kicking around or whatever. So, and then there's more than, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 patrons in the store at any given time. There's definitely more than 10 people every time I've gone there. And, so I'm just trying to figure out if they're in compliance or not in compliance. And that's just one that I'm talking about. There's more than that, but.
That's because
You know.
they're essential business and they're under a different guideline, non-essential, essential, and supposedly that's going to be adjusted on Monday as far as, and they still have to practice social distancing, but I understand what you're saying. I've been trying to deal with that for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And that's a calculation on the size of the building also.
Yeah, no, I think they can stay in compliance as long as they stay the 6 feet apart. They have the tape on the floor. I mean, we've all talked to Tarek. I mean, he's on it. They're doing a good job. They really are.
Yep.
So. Okay. Jim, I know we also talked about superintendent from Bay Path was trying to do something to get some of the administrative in there and maybe some of the students to clean out the lockers.
Yeah, I have a meeting with John LaFleche and Mr. Cludia tomorrow. He wants to show me his plan to get the students back, to get their belongings out of their locker. They have not returned for quite some time. He's been getting a lot of requests from parents, and he wants to talk about getting administration back in the building and his plan. I think we'll get more guidance on schools on Monday, the 18th, but certainly he wants to talk tomorrow. We will be in a huge room, more than 10 feet apart, and we'll all be have masks, and he wants to meet in person to go over his plan. So I will inform the board of what his intentions are, and he wants to be compliant, but there are many, many requests from students. There are 10 or 11 communities that attend that vocational school, and they want to get their stuff out of their lockers. So we have to come up with a plan, practice social distancing, at the same time keep the school clean and safe, and allow them to get their belongings. So we'll work on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. Some people might, a kid that left his wallet in there, or who knows. I mean, it could be a big deal for a lot of students or faculty for that matter. So I'm totally on board with letting them go in and do it. I don't know what your requirement would be, whether it's, the mask, the gloves, the thermometer, or whatever. I'll let you guys come up with your plan and see if you think it's, fair game to do it. But I'm totally on board. It should probably happen when Shepherd Hill got their stuff.
Yes, and that's, they want to talk about graduation also, and that's another topic that the state's going to provide guidelines. What can you safely do for graduation for the seniors? They certainly want to do something, whether it's in your vehicle, stay in, or do whatever. And I think that certainly, Dudley Charlton Regional School Committee come up with something. They had a little parade, they had a little social gathering in the parking lot after that. But certainly, I think they miss their students, teachers. And I think John could probably, his wife is probably feeling the same way They feel the kind of a loss of not being able to reach out to their students and help them along the way. So I can understand that.
True.
True, and vice versa. I got the two little ones at home, and you know, they miss their friends, they miss their school. I mean, we're trying to do the studying online. It's okay. It ain't great, you know. It's, you know, yeah. Okay. What else, Jim?
Just that our cases, everyone knows there's been, knock on wood today, we didn't have any additional cases. I think everyone has been updated on our recent cases and our caseload. I'm working with Cheryl, doing some tracing and making sure people have what they need if they need anything. Charlton Sewing Center has been great, again, donating masks. They have special masks, Andrew, that they're designed for municipal workers for long periods of wearing, that don't go behind your ears, they go behind your head and slide over, so their ability to come up and down and leave them on is a lot easier than the straps around the ears or the ones that tie. So they're making us around 50 of them for men, separate ones for men and then women, and certainly we'll have those by the end of the week, and I'll actually give them to you so you can hand out to all of the employees at the town hall.
All right, thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Okay. Kathleen, do you have anything?
Not really. Well, there is a small issue. Some of the groups that I'm Zooming with, well, one group yesterday in particular, there's conspiracy theories going around. And I'm not a big fan of conspiracy theories in general. In fact, I abhor them. And I think they just strike fear, unneeded fear into people's hearts. And, but there is one going around about contact tracing. And I didn't know if Jim might know about this. Supposedly there's a bill in California that's going through that's going through the House, and got about 40 sponsors on it. It's about contact tracing, and about how, I guess the fear is that they're gonna be invading your privacy and taking you out of your home and doing all these crazy things. I looked into it, I read the bill twice. It seems fairly benign. I don't see any of that in there. But people come up with these ideas and they're very afraid, and they read things into what's a simple thing. It was mentioned by President Clinton, Bill Clinton, that there's some work being done in Massachusetts about contact tracing with groups. And I didn't know if you knew anything about that other than what's happening with Maeve and Jim.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, through you.
Go ahead.
Kathleen, it's called the Community Tracing Collaborative. They're actually funded by the Health in Massachusetts. We're not participating in that. They did take some of our cases. We had to get them back. Actually, Saturday, for a few hours, I had to deal with the people at the CTC and told them that we'd be handling our own case tracing and we would not take part in the Community Tracing Collaborative that the state has offered through Charlie Baker's office. He's asked for $1 billion for PPE and for CTC, and I think there's one other thing in there for testing. And the CTC is part of that, but Charlton will not be taking part or giving any of our cases to the CTC. It's being handled by myself and Cheryl Rowinski, and we're giving a little bit of more of a caring touch when we call, and make sure to reach out that if they need anything. I told a woman the other day, if you need your prescription, stay home. I will go pick them up, or I'll get someone to do that for you. And she said, thank you. I said, we just want to make sure that you stay home and are safe and not being out in the town, including all the people that she came into contact with have ordered to quarantine. So something like that. I mean, I've gone to the store, get paper towels, toilet paper for people who are quarantining. It's not a big deal. It's just something that we can offer up, and that's something that the CTC, they're all students out of BU mostly. They're public health students. cannot provide that personal touch, and we don't want to be part of that. So we haven't participated with the CTC. But some of the stories you hear are blown way out of proportion. They're actually making one phone call and then clearing you in Maven and then leaving the case alone. So that's not correct community tracing. Contact tracing is a very important part of making sure that this pandemic doesn't spread and doesn't spread. So, but Charlton has it under control, and we have that regional grant for public health nursing that we will use in the event that all our money is spent. So we're pretty well safe.
Okay,
Thanks, guys. I have to jump off.
Okay. All right, Andrew. Have a good night.
Like,
See you, Andrew.
bye, Andrew. Okay, thank you.
Kathleen, anything else, Kathleen?
No, I'm all set, Jim. I mean, Matt.
How about you, John? Anything you'd like to add to the meeting?
No, I did, well, I'll just bring this up. I did talk with Tarek at Ted's, and he said that I think on one day they had 3 or maybe 4 people that didn't wear masks, and there was only one person who was swearing at him and was very belligerent. And I guess this person, I think he's a male, came back, and I said, look, just don't get into it with this person. I said, if they continue to come in and make an issue, then, you can always call the police, I guess, if you have to, if they're being, totally disrespectful and causing a scene. But I said, the last thing you want to do is have somebody set you up and then have their friend over in the corner with a cell phone doing a video. And then next thing you know, your fight is broadcast on YouTube or something. So, but overall, it's working pretty well, and that's good. So,
Okay.
That's my little story.
Um,
One other thing, if I could, I've been to several grocery stores, and I know they're supposed to supply the disinfectant wipes when and usually, and of course, there's no grocery stores in Charlton yet, but maybe before I die, maybe there will be a grocery store, but half the stores just don't have the disinfectant wipes. They might have a space where they are, but there's nothing there. And I have no idea if they've disinfected the carts or not. I think it's Big Y up in Spencer, where they have 2 people outside, store employees, and that's all they do is disinfect carts. And they'll point out the ones that they've just disinfected or they're awaiting that are disinfected, which is very nice.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, that's it.
Okay. Jim, do you have anything else for the meeting?
No, I'm just trying to keep the board updated on the town meeting issue with the opening of the town hall. We're trying to be as safe as possible, keeping in constant communication with the fire chief, police chief, as far as keeping the town safe and supplies. We're pretty well with supplies.